Previously on AgentPalmer.com, Name of the Wind is simply magnificent modern fantasy. Mrs. Agent Palmer got stung, but not in a good way. And have you listened to any of Jason Pilling's music yet? Because what are you waiting for? This is the Palmer Files, episode 173, with the return of one of my best friends, Jason Zapata, who's back because he's been trying to get this particular episode recorded for at least a few years. We're talking spies, Bond, Palmer, Bourne, Westen, Hunt, and more. Who's the best at infiltration, or combat, or spycraft? All that and much, much more. Are you ready? Let's do the show.
We're doing it live, damn it. We're doing it live.
Every villain should have their own podcast.
You're putting our boy real low on the list, dude. I don't know why. You know, you're throwing so much hate.
God, why didn't I put Jackie Chan on this list?
He shambles out of the car and he still keeps going. You know what upsets me? That this conversation doesn't happen more often.
That's where their bread is buttered.
For something you were so reluctant to do, I think this was a ball.
Hello and welcome to the Palmer Files. I'm your host, Jason Stershik, also known as Agent Palmer, and on this 173rd episode is the return of my good friend, Jason Zapata. He's been trying to get this episode recorded for years, and after we recorded his Proust Questionnaire, episode 163, we decided, since we still had everything set up, to just do it. The premise was always spy v spy v spy. The how and why, well, Zapata really took the lead on that. It's a fun discussion, and we don't get too far into the weeds, though we do dip our toe into semantics a bit. So who is the best spy? Will we come to a consensus among the two of us? That's coming up. But before we get there, remember that if you want to discuss this episode as you listen or afterward, you can find all related ways to contact Jason and myself in the show notes. You can see all of Jason's stuff at jasonzapata.com. He's finally active on a social media, at least for the moment. It's Instagram, so give him a follow at jasonzpoetry. Don't forget you can see all of my writings and rantings on agentpalmer.com. And of course, email can be sent to thepalmerfiles at gmail.com. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right.
Are we live? Cue suspenseful music.
You've been trying to get this one on.
Oh, this has been a pet project of mine for a while now. I'm so excited this is happening.
I am not nearly prepared enough, but I also feel like there was never a chance I was ever going to be prepared enough.
Just unless we just do this. We're doing it live, damn it. We're doing it live.
Okay, so let's see. Spy v spy v spy v spy, right? Can I just ask right now?
Mm-hmm.
I know what my list I think is, but your top 5 spies.
Top 5. I would have to say, okay, it's just
no order.
No order. Okay, thank you.
It's just top 5.
You got to have James Bond.
Okay.
You got to have Jason Bourne. You have to have Ethan Hunt, Michael Westen, and he's not, it's a very loose term, and it's kind of almost like my wild card tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
I'm going to say MacGyver.
MacGyver. I don't know how I feel about that one, but I can give you mine.
Yeah.
Bond definitely is on mine.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's probably on most. Of course, I'm going with Palmer, the anti-Bond, because why not? Westen is also on my list. It's really hard. I know that, people are going to be, well, TV's a little bit different, but there's just something about Michael Westen, the Bourne spy. There's something about, there's just something about it. And then, so I've done this before, a long time ago when I was on Dark Angels and Pretty Freaks. Mm-hmm. I did a list, and
was it a spy list?
It was my top 5 spies, and I don't remember who was on the list. I think I'm going to come close. I'm going to at least go 4 for 5, if not 5 for 5. And I know I had an honorable mention, and I don't remember who that was. So it's just like, oh, I don't know. There is a part of me that I almost don't want to say it, but I have to, like Archer.
No, you can't. Archer's comedy.
So I'm not including comedy.
It's got to be somewhat serious.
Somewhat serious.
Yeah.
All right, somewhat serious. So then, Bond, Palmer, Westen. I think I'd go Fury.
Yeah.
I think Fury was on my original list too, and then, oh boy, 5 is I mean, MacGyver's interesting. I don't think he's there. I would put Bourne above Hunt. I feel like I'm missing somebody. I know we had talked about this a while ago as far as like, not one-offs, right? Like these are all franchise or like season long guys. So then I guess maybe I go with Kingsman is a bit too comedy as well, I think.
People trying to make the case for John Wick, but I
he's not a spy.
I view him as an assassin.
He's not a spy.
He's not. No. Yeah.
So I guess because I need a fifth to make this work, I think I'll go with Jason Bourne. I like him a little bit better than I like Hunt.
I believe we watched the series together too.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. So we never really figured out how we were doing this.
I have categories.
Okay.
I have categories.
Okay. All right. So give me the first category.
The first category that I have is infiltration.
Infiltration. Well, I mean, I feel like I know who wins. Easy. That's Michael Westen. For me, Michael Westen found a way in South Florida to get into any kind of area he wanted to, regardless of how many accents he needed to do or facial hair or mannerisms even, because he played a dumb guy when he needed, like a dumb swamp guy, really well if he really needed to.
I think that yes, I give him credit for that, but most of the either gangs, facilities were they weren't high tech or high stakes for the most part. This is more like kind of local Florida stuff. So I appreciate the talent, but I don't think it's on the scale of like an Ethan Hunt where he's infiltrating a Russian embassy, or he's trying to enter like a completely locked down tower.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
However,
no, yeah, that's where we're
Michael Westen.
We're trying to get this figured out.
Maybe did it with less backup. Often with no communication.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about a fancy mask. We're talking about a mustache. We're not talking about an earpiece. We're talking about maybe some hand signals or a cough with Fiona up there with a, sniper rifle, maybe catching that, something's up. So I feel like alone it's Westen, because even Bond never infiltrated. He just broke in.
No, he's definitely infiltrated places.
He's infiltrated places, but it was also like, I'm probably going to get caught and then I'm going to suave and get myself out of this.
Well, here's the thing, right? That's part of it. So your
infiltration
ability to,
you got to be able to get out alive.
Exactly too. And that's definitely a talent that Bond has. I do agree with you that Ethan Hunt does take a hit on the fact that it's a team and he relies on his team where it's not really a solo operation, which kind of gives a little credit to Jason Bourne.
He did a lot of that stuff on his own.
Natural talent. Him going in solo.
Weston's kind of a little bit in the middle. He had two backup guys. Not really a team. Usually it was a tandem.
Helps him a lot. Yeah.
Yep. Sam, but usually it wasn't the both of them unless it was a big job. But usually it was one.
Yeah.
Usually he had one backup, which is okay, fair enough. But I mean, I can give you that. MacGyver also, it's kind of like Westen. Like
very much in that dimension. Yeah.
He had a team. Not a great team.
Really. Like Pete was like basically the guy who gave him missions, right? So MacGyver was usually on his own. He was usually sent on behalf of the Phoenix Foundation to go in and rescue someone, or get information, or to sabotage some kind of terrorist weapon. Like that was his whole thing. So it was very much ingenuity was like his whole thing. Yeah. He wasn't disguised.
Which, by the way, was also
he's Canadian. He had a fucking mullet. You can't really rock a disguise.
But that's also what Westen did too. I mean, that kind of like give me a paperclip and a thing, whatever. But I don't know.
But the escape part of the infiltration, MacGyver was the man when it came to that. There were so many times he was in a ridiculous situation where the dude had a paperclip, some duct tape, and a shoelace, and he got out of that shit. So that's why I do feel that he kind of has his place on there. But in terms of like how do you rank it, it's tough because like you said, I do think Ethan Hunt takes a hit. But in terms of agility, in terms of disguise, I do think you can't completely eliminate that either.
No, but he still drops below Westen.
I don't think
for
it's
me.
Westen, bro.
Yeah. Because Westen, again, I look at the guys who did it without tech. The thing about the Mission Impossible franchise
but
late.
I will say this. Weston has athleticism, but I don't think it's on par with Ethan Hunt or with Jason Bourne. I do think he ekes out MacGyver. I do think in terms of the ability, agility wise, to get into places, get out of places.
I would, but
don't
you know
see
what?
him there.
Here's the difference.
Yeah,
I would take Weston in a fight because unlike the other two, he gets beat up a lot. Like of this list, by the way, Michael Weston might be the Rocky. He's the guy who can take a punch more than anyone else on this list and still get up, because there were situations where it's TV, so we've seen more situations with Michael Weston than others, but there were situations where he needed to get beat up because he wasn't going to give away how strong he was, and so he would still come back. And I feel like some of those other guys that we're talking about...
Not so quick on that, because Rogue Nation, I think that's the one Henry Cavill plays, the rogue American CIA operative. Him and Ethan Hunt throw hands, bro. Like, there is a serious knockdown, drag-out battle at the end of the film, and I think we're kind of sleeping on that. Ethan Hunt can take some abuse too.
I know, but I'm just saying. I think Weston's still the top for me. That's just.
I think we have to figure out a way to kind of give points on the individual categories too. So I think Weston is really up there. I think for me, out of all of them so far, I would say it's Michael Weston.
I'll say this:
Ethan Hunt are
Palmer's
up there.
at the bottom. The man just walked into places. Like his only infiltration style. I guess I could include Bernard Sampson too, but he's similar in the vein of, like, he would walk into a place, and because he was so plain and not as flashy, he just kind of blended into the background, which you can only do in so many places. But in the places he needed to be, just blending in because he was so non-specific, that's the only thing he had. So probably at the bottom of the list, though.
Yeah.
Well, maybe slightly above Nick Fury, who always looked the same and really didn't do much. He did it disguise once.
Here's my one knock against Nick Fury. He's a spy master and not a spy, I feel. Like, so yes, that spy is kind of included in it.
Yeah.
But his primary thing is that he's the spy man. He's the spider in the middle of the web. So it's kind of tough for me to kind of, I don't know how to really gauge him.
Okay.
So that's kind of a weird thing.
All right.
I would love if we got to see more.
Well, it is in the comics. In the comics, he's very much a spy.
Yes.
It's the movies where he's more of a spy master. But I just feel like even in the comics, he didn't. He was just I'm Nick Fury walking in a room. Like, it's just like Mr. T, right? Like, he's just okay.
Because in the comics, not only that, like, later versions of Nick Fury, he has, like, human duplicates. Like, he's so crazy and paranoid that he has duplicates of himself that are like cyborgs going in and posing as him.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But anyway, so that's, Fury's probably at the bottom, then Palmer. And then
so I think we're more or less in line. We're kind of like, we're not sure who kind of ekes out Ethan Hunt versus Michael Weston.
But they're both 1 and 1A or
they're top tier. They're S tier.
Yeah, yes.
And then Bond is kind of like B, C tier. I do think we were kind of sleeping on Bond a bit. I do think he should kind of be a bit higher up on that list.
I mean, it depends on the way you consider infiltration. He could always get in and he could always get out. But then again, all of these guys, for the most part, could get in and out.
Now, it's going to be part of its own category, right? But I think what kind of dovetails into infiltration, I don't know if we want to use this as a segue.
Yeah, what's the next?
I would say savoir-faire. The ability to use language, talk yourself in and out of things, get information. I do think that's a big key part of being a spy as well.
All right, so I slept too much on Bernard Sampson, so maybe I'll kick Bourne out and put Sampson on my list. But I think the thing about Bernard Sampson is specifically that he had a network. Maybe better than anyone else on this list. He had a full-on network from 20 years in the game, right? Mm-hmm. Palmer, he could get information, and he had great spycraft, maybe the best spycraft. But I feel like Weston and Bond go to the top of my list for that savoir-faire in terms of letting the other guy just talk. Just once you're in, you don't have to ask a question. You don't even have to say anything. Maybe one comment's all you need, and then they're just going to talk, and they're just going to go. And that's just going to be what I need. And you know what? Villains love to talk about themselves. Every villain should have their own podcast that never sees the light of day, so the good guy can't know his plan. But if I was a villain right now, I'd be telling you exactly what I'm doing.
I think one of the things that really pushes James Bond up on this list is he's so suave and so debonair that villains are forced to feel like they have to overcompensate, and then they start to monologue and they start to reveal all their plans, and he gains information that way. So I do think that the ability to make people feel inadequate, well, but that's is a power in of itself.
That's the other reason I go to a Westen, because Westen used to play down and play dumb. And then they all felt like they needed to bring him up to speed because he wasn't going to put it together. Mm-hmm. And so it's legitimately the exact, it gets the information in the exact opposite way of James Bond. I'm going to play dumb, and they're going to be like, this little runt of the litter over here doesn't figure out what I'm doing, so I'm just going to, kid, come here. Just stand over there, and when that guy comes in, do the thing, right? And so they spelled it out for him in the same way, not for overcompensating, but just trying to oversimplify everything just so this little guy may understand, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. The rest, I'll be honest, the rest feels a lot less. The rest almost don't feel like they belong on the list. And I say that because Hunt and Bourne felt more like hackers when it came to information gathering.
Well, the thing about Ethan Hunt, right? He would pose as someone else. So it's frustrating.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Now, when he had to kind of like be himself and try to gain information, there weren't many instances of that happening. So it's difficult to kind of put him on a proper scale for savoir-faire. I think he could talk with other agencies when necessary, like in the other films when he was working with the American CIA agents. There was some back and forth with that, setting them up.
By the way, of everything, okay, CIA, NSA, the
MI6,
no, specifically the American agencies, always inept. Like, there's a reason that like Mission Impossible is a separate entity. In that, like, we just don't talk to the CIA. Like, they're so full of leaks. Or the NSA doesn't really, like, we'll ask them a question, but we're not going to tell them really why we need to know. We're going to make up another reason for it. I just look and I go, all right, well, Bond and Westen go to the top for me.
Yeah, I have that too. MacGyver is frustrating because he doesn't really talk himself into things.
He's a mission-focused guy. He's almost like, you know what? He feels like a mission specialist, where that, like, by then it's like, all right, well, we got the guy who can drive him there and drop him off. He'll be fine once he's there. And he's already been debriefed. He doesn't need much more.
Now, I do think that he's able to, if it comes to, working with people and getting resources or convincing someone to do something, he's capable. Yes. But I think when it comes to just, again, using savoir-faire as a tool, a spy trade, whether that be convincing a woman to sleep with you, convincing a major villain to reveal his plot, again, my man with the mullet just comes up short there.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, so he goes at the bottom. Yes. I think that's fair to say. He's at the bottom. And then Jason Bourne, he does speak multiple languages. He kind of pretends to be someone. He'll put on an act of, like, it's something even simple as being a manager for a store or something and calling in just to figure out if someone's present or to get a lay of the land or cause a security threat. So I do think he's B or C tier when it comes to that. He has the ability to use that, but again, that's not one of his strengths.
No.
No.
And I again, Samson was all about his network. So, and sometimes the network lets you down. And that's just the nature of Cold War politics. Like, you don't know who's turned, or, you don't know what's fake and what's not. But there is an amount of reliance on human intelligence that maybe more or less was just, that's how he got it. He very rarely got it from the source. So I don't know where you put him, because he got the information, but never from the source.
Yeah.
And I know I said that again, but it's just, I'm just reiterating, like, I guess that means he's at the bottom, because what you're talking about specifically is getting it from the source.
Yeah.
So that Samson's getting it from other human intelligence, and his network is great. But that doesn't take, that's not
organic. That's not coming from him.
Yeah. That it is organic, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
So, all right. So what's the next category?
So I don't know if it should be part of one overall, or if we split them up into two.
Okay.
So if you're just going to have a combat, that could include marksmanship and hand-to-hand. We could split it up, and then we can either have marksmanship and hand-in-hand as separate. Like, what do you think is the best approach for this?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like marksmanship is just really simple. Bond's okay. Bourne's the best. Hunt's pretty good. Westen's okay. Like, he was pretty good, but it was Fiona. Fiona was the marksman,
She was IRA, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's it. But moving past that to hand.
Now, again, I feel MacGyver is towards the bottom. Now, the only thing I would say in his defense.
So is Fury.
Yeah. What I would say in his defense would be he could improvise weapons. And he tried to avoid killing people. That was MacGyver's whole thing. But he could create distractions.
God, why didn't I put Jackie Chan on this list? Like, he's been a spy enough.
Spy.
Yeah. But most of the time he's a policeman.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, detective or whatever.
But you don't think Jackie Chan, it's like these are spies.
Yeah,
they immediately come to your mind first and foremost.
Okay, so yeah, MacGyver and probably Fury at the bottom. With Samson, same thing. He's not going to be a scrapper. Even Palmer, not so much. I mean, you're looking at Bond, Bourne, Hunt, and Weston. These are your top four,
Marksman,
no matter how
fighters.
You get it. Yeah, these are the guys that, that's where their bread is buttered.
Yeah.
I think there's a split where all the other guys are more intelligence-based.
I feel like we're missing a category. So we have physical combat, we have infiltration, we have savoir-faire with like utilizing of your speech and your knowledge. What other thing are we not measuring these guys properly on?
Well, I think that's where I just split it. Like, there are the straight intelligence guys. This isn't about combat. This is about just getting the information.
Okay.
And getting it reliably, but not directly. Because that was the thing. That's the thing where, like, a Palmer and a Samson and, to a certain extent, even Weston and Fury, mainly Fury, it was getting the information indirectly, but reliably, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that in that regard, I feel like I have to give Hunt an NA, because he's getting it from his team specifically. He doesn't have a network. He's got a team, which is very different than a network in the spy game. And I mean that not as a derogatory thing, because look, we're talking about, Palmer's usually on his own. Bourne's usually on his own. Weston has Fiona and Sam, but usually one or the other, sometimes neither. And Bond is lucky if Felix is around, but most of the time he's alone. But Ethan Hunt's got a team, always has a team. So I almost give him something slightly different. Just because he's got more reliable.
He has more resources at his disposal, right? Because what MSX provides him that. But you can say the same thing for what they do for Bond as well. So it's
yeah, but you know what? Once Bond's there, he's on his own.
Yes.
Where versus Ethan Hunt usually has somebody in his ear or within hand
distance.
signal.
Yeah,
shot.
They're
so
close.
they can still
Yeah.
so. It's slightly different, but as far as intelligence gathering, just straight intelligence, I don't know. I mean,
It's got Fury's got to be at the top.
Palmer, Fury.
Yeah.
Fury might be at the top just because he found
Spy Master.
Yeah,
that sums it up.
And then
the spider in the web.
Samson was very good too. He was kind of like one under. And Samson did it as a like maybe 3 tiers. If Fury is that like Spy Master at the top, then for people who haven't read any of the Bernard Sampson stuff, he's like 4 tiers under that. He's like above junior spy, but he's grizzled veteran who's solved everything, but not by the book. So he'll never get promoted, but he knows so much and he knows how to get around the system that in theory is what Ethan Hunt doesn't like. And Jason Bourne wants to tear down, and Bond feels hampered by, like, you know what I mean? Like, Bernard Sampson's basically like, well, I'm too good, they won't fire me, but they're not going to promote me, and I might be a scapegoat one day, but I know how to work around the system within the system.
Spies who have been burned. They've all, at one point, I'm pretty sure all of them have been burned.
Palmer's been burned.
Yeah, Jason Bourne.
Bond, Westen, obviously.
Yeah, Westen.
Fury,
Ethan Hunt. They've all been burned.
All of them.
Which is so interesting. So that I guess we'd say who got burned the worst would be the one of the more interesting questions. I feel Bourne's at the top of that one. Like in terms of having to overcome like a crazy situation, because he had that whole the entire CIA trying to kill him,
and he had the amnesia. Like
the
difference is like Westen wakes up in the pilot and he's burned, and he knows it.
But they're not trying to. He's burned, but they're not trying to kill him.
Well,
he's just out of the game.
They're not trying to kill him. He's out of the game, but he also is basically in jail in Miami. It's like, we're going to keep an eye on you, but you can't go, like
house arrest, essentially.
Yeah. City arrest.
Yeah.
So but I feel like it goes Bourne, Westen, and then everybody else. Cause everybody else was burnt for like a movie or a movie and a half.
Yeah.
Whereas like Bourne is never unburned and Westen's burnt for like,
the series,
4 or 5
series,
right? Like, so it's like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, those two are definitely at the top.
Oh, they have to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know we didn't get super granular about it, but I do feel like we kind of, for people, fans of the fisticuffs, fans of the action, we didn't really get granular enough with the combat, the melee fist to fist. So in fisticuffs, what are we thinking?
Palmer and Fury and Samson are at the bottom.
I know I put MacGyver on the list.
MacGyver's at the bottom too. Like, I mean,
it sucks. I want him higher,
but there's an asterisk to what I'm about to say next.
Sure.
Though. Bond, non-Daniel Craig Bond, is not at the top of this list in any capacity.
Brosnan could hold his own.
Kind of.
He could hold his own.
But Roger Moore,
you're gonna shit on the judo chop, bro. Come on. You're shitting on the judo chop. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah. Because it's right out of the original Star Trek. It's Captain Kirk's move, right?
The judo chop has longevity. You can't take that away from it.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But no, like the more Bourne influenced Bond and Hunt, that's going to be at the top of the list. And, I think Weston's up there. I think the 4 of them in a 4-way, it's really just going to be, if I'm being honest, looking at like Bond, Bourne, Hunt, and Weston, who gets
Ethan Hunt,
honestly,
because
there's an answer.
Yeah.
There's a straight answer to this, and you're not going to like it.
Okay.
But whoever gets to their toy first wins. That's genuine.
Okay, they're in a pit fight.
I don't care.
They're just no weapons. They're just in a pit and they're fighting.
You know what?
Yeah.
I've watched too many of these things. They all have a weapon.
All right.
There's always a weapon.
Okay. What I'm going to say is this. I like Ethan Hunt for his agility and his ability. I do think he has like good fighting ability. I don't think the durability is quite there. He did, like I said before.
No, I think
he hung in there when he fought against Henry Cavill in
I think in the end it comes down
he
to
could take some abuse.
I still think in the end it comes down to Bourne and Westen. I really do. I think Bourne and Westen are your top two.
Bourne gets this.
I know, but I think
beat bad, bro. Through all three movies, I'm just saying.
I think it's Bourne and Westen at the end, and probably Bourne on top. But
the one when the third part movie when he escapes from that long police crash, like literally completely messed up. He's been shot. He's in a huge car accident. He shambles out of the car and he still keeps going.
I'm not disagreeing, but I still think Bourne outlasts Westen, and the rest kind of just fall by the wayside as a result.
Daniel Craig took a beating too, though.
Yeah, but you have to. But Bond is one of those things where like we have to keep in mind that there were other Bonds. Like you can't just say Daniel Craig. Like Bond as a character, and when we talk about infiltration, it's the same thing. They all had suave. So that's like everything we've talked about.
So you're viewing it, you're using it as a plus and a con. You're saying, okay, if we're looking at James Bond in totality,
yes,
savoir-faire is always top marks.
Always.
That's it. Okay, so I guess you're right because
I love my boy Connery, but like
he could throw hands. Like Connery, dude, he had his moments
a little bit, but not in it. But here's the thing: when we talk about Bourne and Westen, and if we do the whole like drop the worst and best fight, Ethan Hunt's out, unfortunately, because when you take the best fight away and the worst fight away, he's kind of middling. But Bourne and Westen can not only take a punch, they can wait and wait.
They'll go hamburger
and wait, and then eventually they'll rocky it. They'll wear you out, and then they're going to be on top, standing at the end. So I feel like those two are legitimately head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah, I agree.
It's only the Daniel Craig Bond that probably gets there.
Again, I think you're sleeping on Bronson.
I'm not sleeping on Bronson. But
I think you're putting our boy. You're putting our boy real low on the list, dude. I don't know why. You're throwing so much hate towards Bronson.
No,
dude. I don't get it.
I think he spent a lot of time trying to avoid that kind of stuff. Brosnan's Bond specifically spent a lot of time running away from the fight. Like that's what. Like here's the thing: there were always some car chases in Bond, but Brosnan took it to a whole nother. Like I'm thinking, like the what was it? Die Another Day with the motorcycle.
What's her face?
Like they just spend so much time trying to avoid the fight that it's just like, all right, well, I know he can take it because obviously, what was it, the third Brosnan where like he ends up with the beard and he's been like brutalized for like months. No, I know, but
they left him to die.
But I
left him to die.
I still think it like head and shoulders. It's Westen and Bourne, like easily. They're at the tops for physical fisticuffs. Yeah.
So if we're looking at our list, right? So far we have categories for hand-to-hand. We have categories for marksmanship. We have categories for savoir-faire. We have categories for infiltration. Like the certain names just keep coming up. So I think in terms of the whole combat, marksmanship and hand-to-hand, our boys, Michael Westen and Bourne are towards the top of that.
Yeah.
Savoir-faire, Michael Westen does exceed Bourne by quite a bit.
Yes.
And then in terms of infiltration, it's kind of a mix there. Bourne's kind of towards the bottom of that list. So I think if we're being honest about this, overall, I do think Michael Westen's probably the strongest spy on the list here.
Yeah. Unless you got another category I don't know about.
No, I think in terms of the categories I wanted to talk about, again, maybe we poll this, we put it out to the gentle listeners out there to see if there's something that we overlooked or we missed. I think this is a fairly
as well-rounded goes. I think Weston's probably at the top, right? Because he does everything. Maybe not. He may not be the S tier and everything, but he's A tier. He's A or B tier in almost everything.
Consistent.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's
consistent
the thing.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
It's not an open and shut case, but kind of is at this point.
I will look. So in terms of like overall spycraft, right?
Spycraft, that's a different thing. We didn't talk about spycraft.
Well,
not really.
Oh, I guess in terms of the category, we could do that.
Yeah.
But in terms of the categories we have so far,
yes.
But
Michael Westen, here's the thing: Michael Westen's not going to drop when we talk about spycraft.
Yeah. Now, here's
even
the thing.
when everybody else, even like, I know Palmer's spycraft is pretty good because he does a lot of things behind the scenes, and Sampson with his human intelligence is the same way, and you could say the same thing about MacGyver as well. But there's a lot of MacGyver in Westen as far as some of that stuff.
Exactly.
And spycraft wise, I love Bond, but he suffers from needing all of Q's gadgets. And it's a little bit less spycraft than just cool gadget thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that spycraft thing, I mean, Weston's still there.
Multiple languages, that's a big part of it too. Being well-traveled, understanding different organizations, passports, multiple identities, safe houses.
Yeah.
All of these are facets of spycraft. So I think when you break it down that way, even with dead drops and understanding who your friends still may be and all that stuff. So Weston's still, if he's not S tier. Weston's there. But again, I think his stakes are a little bit lower than the others. When you look at it, I think when you're looking at major international institutions, crime syndicates, like you got to look at like the caliber of villain that Bond or Ethan Hunt is going up against is higher than Weston's.
Not really, because Weston's just going up.
It's still life or death.
Well, I was going to say he's going up against the system, whereas the others are working within the system usually. At times.
Yeah. Jason Bourne, never.
That's true. Never. Yeah, he's just trying to blow up the system.
Jason Bourne is just there to suffer. I feel like, dude. But
no, it's true.
Yeah?
That's his lot in life.
Yeah.
He's supposed to suffer. Yeah. That's it. I mean, I wish I could give Bond more merits.
I do too. I feel like
stuff, but it's just when you start comparing and contrasting spycraft, and it's like, but you just. Like, none of the other guys, like, I remember there's a couple episodes of Burn Notice where, like, Michael Weston has a great belt because, like, it will,
it's a tourniquet.
It'll help him, like, zip line down something, but it's the actual belt. Not
it's a thing you put around your arm to block knife strikes.
But it's not actually, like, a tension rod in the belt buckle, like, you know what I mean? And so, like, there's this amount of, like, practicality that we lose with James Bond.
Yeah.
That
I do think, again, Craig's version went a long way towards addressing. So
some of that, but at the same time,
they back, like, I think especially in the last couple of movies, they kind of were like, okay, we're gonna go back to crazy gadgets and laser watches.
Even still, like there's an amount of when it was toned down where it was still like, yes, but when all of these guys got in a car, James Bond still had the cool. Like let's talk about wheels for a second.
We didn't talk about vehicles, like being able to use vehicles.
Well, MacGyver goes a little bit up because he could fly.
He could fly
anything.
He can hotwire anything.
Yeah. Well, Weston could hotwire anything as well. In fact, I think Weston got around South Beach never in his own car. He was always like, I'm on a job. If somebody follows me, it's not going to be in my car.
Now, here's the thing, unfortunately. And again, I think our boy MacGyver gets points and then gets it immediately taken away. Because I think that while he can utilize many different vehicles, maybe some more than our other spies, unfortunately, we haven't seen instances where he's had to escape. He's never been in an actual. I could be wrong. I'm really trying to rack my memory here, but I don't remember a MacGyver episode where it was a prolonged chase and he had to lose someone.
Well, that's different. So that would be actual like driving skill. At which point
piloting. So overall, like vehicle usage.
I mean, I will say,
because I don't think Bond flies.
Bond flies.
Okay, he does fly.
Or
has he ever flown anything?
Yeah, he's flown some planes.
Helicopter, I think.
He's done I mean, he's done the plane thing.
Yeah.
He's done the whole the plane's going down and I need to save myself.
Yes. Okay. Yeah,
and he's done that a few times. That's not a one-off.
So he can fly.
He can fly well enough not to. He can fly well enough that his crash landing is survivable.
Yeah.
Whereas MacGyver technically had the proficiency to take off and land.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really explore. In theory, we know Bourne has been taught how to fly.
We haven't seen it,
but we've not seen it.
Yeah.
We know from
we know he's a devil behind the wheel, though.
Yes.
Yeah. I think every movie has some type of prolonged vehicle.
Yeah, and
pursuit scene.
Bond. It depends on the movie.
Yeah.
It's not always.
He's had some bangers, though. He's had some.
He's had some really good car chases
and motorcycle chases. Yeah.
But again, you almost have to asterisk that because, towards the end,
had some good ones too. I remember there was a jump scene with a vehicle and more.
I don't disagree, but I'm just saying every time he did it in his car, he could push a button and get an oil slick. And you know what I mean? Like there's an amount of gadgetry.
Guns in the hood.
There's an amount of gadgetry within all of that stuff for Bond specifically, where he could easily, when he needed to, all he had to do was get to a straight road and put down the slick. There were just.
I think Ethan Hunt's real high on that too, in terms of vehicle uses, motorcycles, cars, boats. I mean,
Bond did some boat stuff.
He did some boat stuff
Bond
too.
did some boat stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Weston did some boat stuff too.
Yeah, Florida. Fucking yay, bro. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
I don't know. I also wonder, of everybody.
Yeah.
If we discount Bond as automatically S tier, who had the best toys?
I don't think anyone can be just automatically S tier.
Who had the best toys?
Oh, best toys.
That's what I mean. Bond's automatically S tier.
Yes,
He's got Q in his back pocket.
Yeah, no.
S tier. But other than that, who
Ethan Hunt's up there too, bro. The MI6 gear, the mask stuff. Everything. I don't know. That's pretty.
He might be S tier too. Then
I think he's got to be for tools and resources. That he's got to be up there too, man. That's easy.
I don't know that I think everybody else is basic.
MacGyver's up there too.
Well,
he never needs them. Well, but he has the Phoenix Foundation
and Westen. MacGyver and Westen never needed that stuff because they always came prepared.
Their ingenuity.
The engineering, just
the ability to but through their own, skills get through a problem.
Yeah.
Bourne, unfortunately, never...
He never had any toys.
So they didn't let him have toys.
He never got anything.
He didn't get any toys. Now, here's the thing. He did have passports and safe houses and money stashed, but there was no gear. There was no fancy knives or fingerprint guns or grapple hooks from your watch or anything like that. He didn't get any of that.
None of that. Lasers, nothing.
No, nothing.
No, nothing.
Poor boy.
I still think though, we've discovered that I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We probably should have figured out who we were expecting it to be at the beginning, and if we were surprised at the end.
I like doing this organically. I think us kind of talking things through and figuring out.
I would never have expected Westen to be the top dog in
one of the top. Though. I do think it's
overall.
Here's the thing. Overall,
I think he is.
I do think in a one-on. I think if you were to put them both in a country, say you put these both and they have to find each other and take each other out. I love my boy Westen, but I think if it's a straight head to head, I think Bourne gets them.
Maybe, but here's the thing: if you're taking, and look, we know, I don't remember the history, so I know Westen has experience in other countries.
Yeah.
So if you took them both to a neutral country where neither of them has support, I don't know that it's as cut and dry as you think it is. Because I
don't think it's cut and dry. I do think it's got to be super close. They're both fully capable of integrating and through skullduggery getting at each other. I do think that's definitely... Yeah, it would be one hell of a thing to watch. I'd be there with popcorn in hand to watch it.
I'll say this. We don't do this kind of... So here's an example, right? There are, Knight Rider crossed over with some, Airwolf and A-Team stuff, right? But what we're talking about here, these crossovers will never happen.
They should.
They will never happen.
You know what's upsets me that this conversation doesn't happen more often. Like this is a cool.
But this is the conversation. So
Yeah.
I always bring this up.
Yeah.
But this is a conversation that happens within certain circles, and you and I are a part of those circles, right? This goes back to 1999, 1998. I'm in the gaming shop on Main Street. You hadn't gotten into Magic yet, which is sad because I think you would have had a fun time there. And we would just try and cast a live action Lord of the Rings. Right. And I always talk about not being able to go back in time because I don't remember anybody we chose. But it's one of the conversations I remember, but there were other conversations like it. And I think that that's just of the circle and the geek nature of, we like talking about this stuff. And we could probably do something similar with Trek and Wars in a way, right? But on a whole, though, I still think on the categories you brought and we talked about, Westen on a points system would somehow be ahead and I would never have assumed.
I always thought he was going to be up there. Did I think he'd be at the one spot? No. But I think if we were both,
but based on points,
just
based on points,
yes, he's number
one.
For
both of us, number one.
Yeah. And that's what a list that includes Ethan Hunt, James Bond, Jason Bourne.
Yeah, my boy Palmer's just at the bottom. I love him, but he's not like he is good at what he does because he's the everyman, because he blends in, because he's not bulky.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think that we kind of discounted that, the ability to just blend in when we looked at infiltration. I think we kind of slept on that in terms of like a facet of that.
But it's only so good. Like that's only good in certain situations. In other situations, you need to get where you need to go.
In terms of like, again, going to the escape part of infiltration, the ability to blend in, to get out of a situation.
Well, that's true, but
that's important.
There's also a part of me that thinks like this is where Westen and Bourne must have taken classes when they were training to be what they were before they got burned. In like architecture, they never make a wrong turn. They always have a feeling of like where the exit might be, and it usually is there. Now, sometimes they're wrong, but usually
I wonder this.
That's just education.
Is it because they're both CIA? Now we're poking fun at the Americans because they lack savoir faire. Is that the difference? Where
the
Brits are just more charismatic and our Americans are just a bit more focused on, okay, where's the entrance, where's the exit?
What does it say when the only two CIA agents we can mention that might have it are burned? Okay, clearly they don't know how to use the things they have.
Their talent. But no, like I said, for something you were so reluctant to do, I think this was a ball. I had a lot of fun with this.
I just wasn't. I think it was good we did it on the spot. I was never going to be prepared enough for this conversation.
No, it's just something you just roll, man.
While this ended up being pretty structured because of Zapata, this is similar to a lot of conversations we just have. Although most are less structured, we do eventually cover a lot of bases, or we tangent away never to be seen again. The point is, they happen. I understand that I am in the minority, but when I hear that people don't talk enough with other people, I wonder what they're afraid of. This episode, this conversation about spies, it was fun, but it didn't move the world. It probably didn't even break new ground, as I know whole podcasts with hundreds of episodes devoted to just this topic. But we talk, we communicate, we engage. And if you're not doing that, if you're one of those people who doesn't like the phone and only communicates via text, who spends more time looking at a screen when hanging out with people, just realize communication is a very important part of who and what we are as humans. Communication, and specifically conversation. It doesn't have to break new ground or change someone's mind or even be anything more than telling each other stories, but the connection with your fellow human, most likely a friend, but it could be a stranger, will be greater for it. You can use that text machine in your pocket to arrange a real-life coffee with someone, or you could even just use the phone function on your smartphone and call someone. Engage in the conversation. You'll enjoy it. And before I go, who's on your spies list? Thanks for listening to the Palmer Files, episode 173. And now for the official business. The Palmer Files releases every 2 weeks on Tuesdays. If you're still listening, I encourage you to join the discussion. You can find all related ways to contact Jason or myself in the show notes. You can see all of Jason's stuff at jasonzapata.com. He's finally active on his social media, Instagram at least for the moment, so give him a follow at jasonzpoetry and tell him what you thought of his list, or at least send commiserations for his boy MacGyver. The music for this episode was provided by Henno Heitur. Email and comments can be sent to this show at thepalmerfiles@gmail.com. And remember, your home for all things Agent Palmer is agentpalmer.com. All right, Mr. Zapata, do you have one final question for me?
I do. I think if I'm reading the tea leaves here, I think that what they're looking to do with the Mission Impossible series is set up either Hallie Atwell or someone else to kind of be a female lead. Given the fact that we just spent the past, almost an hour, talking about, all male, do you think that we can get a female spy into this list and, have her be able to compete with the guys?
So, Atomic Blonde, I think, probably on par, and that's an easy one.
I think she does beat a couple guys right off the bat.
Oh, she.
Look, okay. I love, dude. I feel like again, putting him on the list. I both gave him a service and a disservice, but I do think she definitely takes our poor Canadian lad to the woodshed.
I'm trying to think. I think that, Agent Carter. Haley Atwell as Agent Carter could be spy related, although we only have that one season or 2 seasons, so there's not a lot to go on.
Mm-hmm.
But again, sadly, she could probably beat up 1 or 2 of the guys. Probably the same 2 that but I think that the problem ends up being that after Atomic Blonde has 2 books. Well, 1.5 books, because one's a prequel, and the movie. Agent Carter's got 2 things. It's really that we don't have a lot to go on. Like, even Palmer's got 4 movies. Bourne's got 3 with one Bourne in particular. Like, we have so much to go on.
Yeah.
As opposed to just one film, and that's what makes it a little. There's no franchise.
Yeah.
I still think even if we go ahead and they do hand the baton off, I think you're going to end up with similar Ethan Hunt asterisks in some of the categories as far as there's a team, there's really cool gadgets, because that's going to maintain, right? Like when we talk about Atomic Blonde, she had a gun and her wits for that entire film.
Now, I do recall the one fight scene on the staircase.
Yeah.
And first, she was scrappy as hell, bro. So,
no, I get it. But again, there's a. So, I don't know. It would be nice.
Now, do I think she's ever going to overpower any of the top 3? No, she's not beating Bond. She's not beating Ethan Hunt. She's not beating Bourne. They're gonna eat her alive, dude.
I don't think she's beating Westen either.
Yeah, or Westen.
But,
so, yeah. But I think if. Again, it's all who you get to direct it.
I think you need more runway with the character than we're getting with any single female lead. Like, as we're speaking, Ballerina just came out, and I haven't watched it. But that's a little bit more.
This conversation screwed up already. We missed something that's so important.
What?
I don't know why we were so ignorant and we just didn't think this through. They're ready. powerful, beautiful female spies that we're just not thinking about.
Ooh.
Charlie's Angels, bro. Come on.
Again, but here's
I
the
know.
thing.
That's a joke. I'm just joking.
No,
dude.
no.
Yeah.
But again, they're a team. It's the Ethan Hunt problem. They're almost not exclusively.
I do think you're even though it's a team, right? The individual skills are still there.
But they're also. Here's the thing, though, right? They're all doing something different. One of them is the brute. One of them is the brains. One of them is the sharpshooter. You know, like I don't know. We're close, but I want to ask you a question.
By all means.
You have one case, one thing you need done.
Uh-huh.
Who are you taking as you are going?
Yeah.
But you get a teammate.
A teammate.
A teammate, which means if you pick Ethan Hunt, you don't get his team. You just get Ethan Hunt. So if you pick Michael Weston, Sam and Fiona aren't coming either. So if you are going into battle to do one thing.
Now, see, that's the key word, right? Because it's mission specific. So if you're saying battle, that's a key word there.
Fine,
so
I'm not saying battle.
If I know I'm going to be in the thick of it, I'm taking Jason Bourne because that motherfucker can throw hands.
Okay.
He can shoot and he can get beat to ground beef and still keep coming.
How about this? Sight unseen. You don't know if it will be infiltration, savoir-faire, fighting, marksmanship. You don't know. You just have to blind pick one of the spies to go in and depend on for your life and support. So you can go in as a duo. Who's the one person you're taking of everybody we've mentioned?
It's a tie between three. Like I'm trying to. I'll try to narrow it down.
All right, talk me through this.
Okay. So again, just because
you don't know, you don't know
what you're getting.
I like to think of this as a video game where there's a chance you won't be in the thick of it. Yeah. There's a chance if things go wrong, you will be, and just know that like anything's possible depending on how well it goes and who you have at your side.
Yeah. So again, Weston's automatically top three. He just he's so solid and consistent across all categories. Yes. Ethan Hunt is up there for me. His ability to be sporadic, his athleticism, his ability to fight, decent marksman too. He's up there. God, this is hard, bro. Like, because it's
not hard for me.
I know you have your mindset on things. I feel like Bond's got to be up there. But again, not just because I like him, but just because, again, he's so, like, the ability to survive lone wolf through so much shit. Yeah. You got to put Bourne up there.
All right, so who are you picking? Pick one.
Oh, fuck. It's tough. And I don't know what the hell I'm getting into.
No. It's like one of those old text video games. Like, if you answer wrong, you may end up down a hallway and have to fight your way out. But if you answer right, you may just have to sneak past the guard. You don't know.
If it would be down to two,
okay.
I would rule one out. So unfortunately, it's going to be the top two already that we've decided. It's going to be either Bourne or Westen.
Okay.
Between Westen, any situation, I don't know what I'm getting into.
Yeah. There's an unpredictability, just like every other thing. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm giving this full thought here.
If it helps, I know who I'm going with.
You're gonna go with Westen.
No,
you're not going with Westen. No. Okay, I'll put the brakes on mine. Like, who are you going with?
James Bond.
Really?
100%.
Okay.
100%. You know why? I like Westen. I'll probably live if I take Westen. Right? Bond's got money and connections, and I'm going to live up the high life during this thing. Weston's
live or die.
Like Michael Weston will probably be my best chance of success.
Yeah.
But he's going to be like, in order to do this, we need to rough it. And James Bond is going to be like, we're going to walk into this hotel, we're going to get tailored suits, and we're going to just live it up, and then we're going to deal with the other rest of the stuff. And it's just like, you know what? If I got to go, and this is my one shot, I'm living it high. If I get shot, that's fine. So I'm taking Bond.
If you had to put a gun in my head and I was forced to choose
between Westen and Bourne.
I'm gonna go with Bourne just because I think that he's lone wolfed it for so long. So again, being on your own and surviving is huge.
And so immediately I will tell you, based on your own logic, you made the wrong choice.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is you should choose Michael Westen because Jason Bourne has been lone wolf for so long. I think he wouldn't really look out for you. He was okay some of the time, but he is such a lone wolf that I feel like almost all of Weston's stuff was in the service of someone else.
I'm going to disagree with you there because in the first film, he's basically trying to get, number one, figure out who he is and what's going on. And the love interest, and I forget her name.
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
But he keeps her alive, bro.
But only for, but again,
spoilers,
over the course of series and movies and stuff, I think Westen has done a better job of pulling people unprepared through situations.
Well, he was kind of very MacGyver in that he
could bring something out of you.
People.
Yes.
So people would come to him when they have their problems, and he would help them.
But he would also let them do it and help them as well, so they both succeeded. In a way, but again, I'm taking Bond because I want to live the high life, whether it win or lose.
Win or lose, at least you're gonna have the time of your life.
100%.
I get it.